Most athletes either screw this up, don't consider it at all, or just are not really clear on the actual benefits. But if you are not doing an appropriate taper, you are leaving results on the table, and it could be the difference between a big PR and staying stuck and frustrated in your race results. My name is Rich Ryan. I'm a 3-time HYROX Elite 15 World Championships qualifier with a PR of 54.28. So I'm gonna tell you what a taper is, how to execute it, why it works, and what you need to know when putting it into your own program. So first thing, what is a taper? A taper is a reduction in volume that is going to help you feel better when it comes to your race day. So it's a way to lower your fatigue so that when you step to the line, you're feeling as fresh as possible. Consider it the fine detailing of your training program. Everything's done. You just need to put those last little touches on so you can get the most out of your training on race day. So to help us understand what's going on during our taper, let's talk about what happens during training so that we can have a clear understanding of what happens during the taper. So during points of peak training, our volume is going to go up. And as our training goes up, our fitness goes up as well. But at the same time, there's a line of fatigue that also rises. As fitness and fatigue go up, your readiness to perform goes down. Even though your fitness is high, when that fatigue is high, the readiness to perform will be lower. So say you don't do an actual taper and your fitness is at an all-time high here, but your readiness to perform is down here, you'll probably end up performing somewhere in here, which would be great if last time you performed here, but ideally we would want it to get as close as possible to this fitness marker. More often than not, we end up somewhere around here because our readiness to perform is just too low. So what a taper is going to do, it's going to increase our readiness to perform. So then during a taper, as our volume is going down, you can see that your fatigue drops quicker than your fitness will drop. Eventually this fitness will go down, but your readiness to perform will rise much quicker than your fitness will degrade. So this is ideally where we want to cross our readiness to perform and as our fitness drops because of the taper. So we want to make sure that we are showing up as ready as possible on race day. So even though our fitness doesn't go up any further, there really is no room for it to go. So even if we continue to train and our fitness goes higher, our readiness to perform continues to drop. So again, we'll end up somewhere in the middle. It's ideal to end up here and just have a little bit of fitness taper off and then have it drop a little bit after the race. So we want to make sure that we are planning to make our readiness to perform be as high as possible because our fitness will hang around longer than our fatigue will. So there are two common methods when it comes to structuring your taper. You can do it gradually or you can do it with a bigger drop off. The gradual method is something that is more commonplace in like marathoning. So it's taking a lot of time to slowly recover over the course of several weeks. In marathon or just running training, it is very helpful to let your muscles and your tendons, your ligaments, and just like your total energy system recover. In HYROX, although demanding, it's not as brutal of a beatdown as a marathon. So having something that would be a gradual taper over the course of 3 weeks where you're reducing volume by 10 to 20% each week leading into the race seems like a bit of overkill to me. So I prefer a steep drop off when it comes to my taper. So what this looks like, it's a big reduction in volume over the last 10 days or so. And I think that's a real sweet spot when it comes to a taper for HYROX. So this would look like about 50% reduction in total volume from your peak week to your taper week. And I would suggest starting about 7 days out from your key event. Probably the biggest challenge with a taper is how it feels mentally. It can just seem like there's more to do and doing less feels worse, especially for us HYROX athletes who just want to do a lot of work all of the time. So when it comes to doing less work to get better results, it feels counterintuitive. And a lot of times we might not feel as prepared as we need to be going into that last week of training. And we just want to make sure that we're ready. So we just like keep working. But really this is just going to keep you stuck. Your readiness to perform is going to stay low if you don't execute this taper. Even if your fitness is at an all-time high, if your readiness to perform is low, it's not going to matter on race day. And it's going to be pretty frustrating for when you cross that finish line and you don't get the time that you were hoping for. You don't get that result that you put in so much work for. So ultimately, if you go into your taper week not feeling prepared, nothing in that last week is really going to help you. It's all about what happened in the previous 10, 12 to 16 weeks. That is where the bulk of your fitness is going to come from. Taper is just going to allow you to perform better when it comes to race day. So in terms of fitness, here are some things to keep in mind that really help me feel better when it comes to my taper. Aerobic fitness sticks around for about 2 to 4 weeks from your peak. So you'll maintain that pretty well over the course of your taper week. Your max strength lasts about the same, 2 to 4 weeks. So you won't lose any strength during your taper. Your muscular endurance takes about 7 to 10 days to see some sort of degradation in your fitness. So you need to keep that present in those last 2 weeks, but the last week, you're gonna be good to go. So one thing that can actually dip during a taper, if not executed correctly, is your neuromuscular sharpness. So oftentimes you might hear people say that they feel like flat or like not as sharp, and that's because they have not done the work. So your skill gets a little bit lower. So when you start to kind of move, it doesn't feel crisp. It doesn't feel as easy. So this actually can reduce over the course of like 3 to 10 days. So if you do completely nothing over the last week, all your fitness markers will be about the same, but you might just be a little bit less coordinated than you were the week before. So that's why it's important to continue to do some work so that you can stay sharp without increasing your fatigue and being as ready to perform as possible. So there's 2 ways you can botch a taper. It's by not doing it at all and continuing to build so that your readiness to perform is low, even though your fitness might be at all-time high. If you're not ready to perform, you're not going to get the result you want. I would lean on doing absolutely nothing. Even if you feel a little sluggish, you're still going to be better off than being overtrained coming into the taper. So here's an example of what I like to do for my taper weeks. So let's say we're racing on Saturday, which is typical. The previous Saturday, I will do about 50% of my peak volume that I've done in training. So if I did an hour of quality, I'll do about 30 minutes. Then Sunday, I will do about 50% of my total max volume that I did on my long run over the course of the training block. So if I did 2 hours, I'll keep it at 1 hour. I'll do about 70% of my peak volume and intensity on my strength day on Monday. Tuesday, I will do about 20 to 30% of quality. So only about 20 minutes of quality from my peak session. On Wednesday, I'll be about 50% of my longish run. So I'll stick with that around 45 to 60 minutes. Thursday, I will do about 20 to 25% of that peak run. And Friday, I'll typically take off. So we believe deeply in the taper process. We've gone through a lot of trial and error to make sure we understand what is going to be the most beneficial for a HYROX athlete when it comes to race day. If you want this done for you, we have the RMR training app, which has several different programs in there that will lead you to your race with a peak and a taper that is systematic and will have you feeling your best on race day. I'll talk to you soon.